You wake up exhausted, not from lack of sleep, but from the weight of trying to be better, trying to prove something, trying to finally feel like you're enough. You push through the day harder than most people you know. You hustle while others scroll. You stay late while others go home. But no matter how much you give, it never feels like it's working. Success remains a few steps ahead. Happiness always just out of reach. You tell yourself to push more, grind harder, sleep less because that's what winners do, right? But deep down something feels wrong. You're burning out quietly. And the scariest part? No one can see it. You've become a ghost in your own life, present but not alive. And still you keep pushing. Because what else are you supposed to do? Here's the part no one talks about. We're addicted to effort, not because it works, but because we fear what happens if we stop. But what if that's the trap? What if the real reason you're stuck isn't because you're not trying hard enough, but because you're trying too hard? What if chasing success actually makes it run faster? What if proving yourself is the very thing keeping you feeling worthless? And what if the harder you push, the more you block the very things you're trying to attract? Here's the twist. Maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe the problem is effort itself. And maybe, just maybe, there's a quieter, smarter, and far more powerful way to live. Keep watching. This changes everything. The modern struggle. Everywhere you look, the message is the same. Hustle harder. Sleep when you're dead. If you're not grinding, you're falling behind. We've turned exhaustion into a status symbol, burnout into a badge of honor, and endless effort into a measure of our worth. It's not enough to do your best, you have to be the best, and even then, it still doesn't feel like enough. You overthink every decision. You replay conversations, you plan, you push, you perfect. Because you believe that maybe, just maybe, if you do everything right, you'll finally feel good enough. But here's what no one warns you about. This kind of living slowly kills you. Not in some dramatic overnight collapse, but in tiny invisible pieces. First, it takes your peace. Then, your presence. Eventually, it steals your identity. You no longer know who you are without the striving. And when you finally pause to look around, you realize you're surrounded by achievements yet starving for meaning. You've climbed 100 ladders that led to nowhere. You've won battles that left you empty. Naval Ravikant once said, "Don't try to be successful, be still." It sounds simple, but in a world screaming at you to move faster, be more, do more, stillness feels terrifying, because stillness forces you to feel, to question, to confront the truth you've been too busy to see. That the version of you always trying is the one that never feels whole. And maybe you felt it too. That quiet sense of emptiness, even on your most productive days. If you have, you're not alone. Comment below. When was the last time you truly felt at peace without having to prove anything? Because understanding this one truth could change how you approach everything from this moment forward. Stoicism's hidden rule: effortless action. What if the real power isn't in effort, but in non-striving? The Stoics had a word for this: apatheia. Not apathy, not the modern numbness we associate with giving up, but something far deeper. a powerful inner calm that comes from accepting what you cannot control and acting only from what you can. It's not laziness, it's not passivity, it's effortless action, doing what must be done without the desperate attachment to outcomes. This is the hidden rule behind Stoicism, and almost no one talks about it. In a world obsessed with achievement, the Stoics whispered something radical. Let go. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." But he wasn't talking about fighting harder. He meant the bravery to stop clinging to results, to recognition, to resistance. Epictetus, born a slave and eventually one of the greatest Stoic teachers, taught that true power lies in choosing your response, not chasing your reward. He said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." And freedom to him came from surrender, not submission, but surrendering the illusion of control. Think about the calmest leaders you've ever seen, those who walk into chaos and remain grounded. They don't force, they don't beg, they don't panic. They act decisively, speak simply, and never let the world shake what's within. That's not because they don't care, it's because they know exactly what's worth caring about. Real strength, in the Stoic view, is not noise. It's stillness, it's doing what's necessary, not what looks impressive. It's being so aligned with your values that you no longer need the world's applause to keep going. This is where everything changes, because once you drop the obsession with outcomes, something strange happens. Your actions become clearer, your mind becomes quieter, and ironically, you begin to achieve more by doing less. If this perspective shifts something in you, even slightly, hit subscribe. We break this down every week with real-world Stoic tools you can use in your daily life. Not theories, not fluff, just wisdom that works. Because once you understand this hidden rule, you'll never look at effort the same way again. You'll stop chasing, you'll start choosing, and life, for the first time in a long time, will feel like it's moving with you, not against you, letting go of control. We live in a world obsessed with control. Control your schedule, control your brand, control your emotions, control other people, outcomes, impressions. It's endless, and it's exhausting. Modern mind has been trained to believe that if you're not in control, you're losing. But what if that belief is the very thing holding you back? Stoicism teaches the opposite. It doesn't ask you to grip tighter. It invites you to let go. Not to become careless, but to become wise. To understand that control is a myth, except when it comes to one thing: your response. You can't control how others treat you. You can't control the market, the weather, or even your own body sometimes, but you can control how you move through it all. Let's take a common situation. Someone disrespects you. Your instinct might be to correct them, fight back, prove your worth. But what if, like a Stoic, you simply responded with calm clarity? Not passively, not weakly, but without losing your center. You'd save your energy. You'd gain their respect. And most importantly, you'd keep your peace. That's the power of alignment over activity. Most people are busy. Very few are aligned. They're grinding 16-hour days without pausing to ask, is this actually taking me where I want to go? They confuse motion with progress, effort with effectiveness. But you can do less and achieve more if your actions come from clarity, not chaos. This is the essence of working with nature, not against it. Stoics believed that the universe, nature, is ordered, that it flows in a certain rhythm, and when we try to force outcomes, we swim against that current. But when we let go of what we can't control and focus only on what we can, we start to flow with life. We speak when needed, and we're silent when silence holds power. We act with precision, not panic. We move with intention, not fear. And suddenly, the world doesn't feel so heavy anymore, because we're no longer trying to bend life to our will. We're learning to dance with it. Nature is never in a hurry, yet everything gets done. Let that sink in. You don't need to force every door open. Some were never yours to walk through. The ones that are, they'll open with far less effort when your energy is aligned. Replace trying with this. If everything you've tried so far has left you drained, anxious, and unsatisfied, here's the truth no one tells you. It's not about trying harder. It's about acting with intention instead of intensity. This is the quiet Stoic secret, and it's the opposite of everything we're conditioned to believe. You've been told success demands force, hustle, grind. But the Stoics had a different formula: virtuous action without attachment to the outcome. That means doing what's right, not what's profitable. Choosing what aligns with your values, not what earns instant validation. And most importantly, letting go of whether it works or not. Because once your identity stops depending on results, something powerful happens. You become unshakable. Not because everything goes your way, but because you finally stop living at the mercy of outcomes. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and one of the most powerful men in history, wrote in his journal, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter." He ruled an empire, yet practiced detachment. He understood that the only thing he truly controlled was his intention, his mindset, his decisions, his effort in the moment. And it's not just ancient wisdom, there's a modern example too. A businessman I once met ran himself into the ground for years. He obsessed over analytics, micromanaged his team, worked nights, and chased results. And no matter what, he always felt like something was missing. One day, burnt out and frustrated, he stopped, asking, "What will get me ahead?" and started asking, "What feels aligned whether it works or not?" He began simplifying, saying no to what didn't match his values, letting go of tactics that felt forced, even if they were proven. He slowed down, focused more, thought deeper. 6 months later, not only was he mentally freer, his business had grown faster than ever, because alignment breeds clarity, and clarity is far more powerful than intensity. You don't have to push every second. You don't have to chase validation. You just have to act from a place of inner truth. That's the Stoic way. Stillness over struggle, purpose over panic, precision over pressure. And when you apply this to daily life, everything shifts. Before a decision, ask, is this aligned with my values or just my fears? Before a task, pause. Am I forcing this or flowing with it? Before reacting to a setback, breathe. What do I actually control here? These tiny shifts, done consistently, rewire your relationship with effort. You're no longer a slave to outcomes. You're no longer addicted to progress reports. You just show up, do what's right, and let go. And strangely, that's when life starts to open up. Not because you tried harder, but because you stopped trying and started choosing. How to apply it in real life. It's one thing to understand the Stoic mindset. It's another to live it, especially in a world that rewards chaos. So how do you apply all of this in your actual day-to-day life? Let's start. Simple. Begin with intention, not pressure. Instead of waking up and immediately diving into notifications, tasks, and to-do lists, take 2 minutes to pause. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Not what you want to accomplish, who you want to be while doing it. Calm, clear, compassionate. That small shift sets your tone. You stop chasing and start choosing. Journal for acceptance. Every evening, write down what happened during your day. But instead of listing wins or losses, try this. What did I try to control today that wasn't mine to control? Then release it. This isn't a productivity hack. It's mental hygiene. You clean out the noise. You make peace with reality. Focus only on what's yours to carry. When faced with a challenge, draw a mental line. What's in my control right now? What isn't? You'll be surprised how much of your stress comes from trying to fix what was never your responsibility. Once you get this, life becomes lighter. Not because you've stopped doing, but because you've stopped wasting effort. Now here's what's important to understand. This isn't laziness. It's strategic energy use. Stoics weren't passive. They were precise. They didn't do everything. They did what mattered, and they did it with full presence, no noise, no panic, no approval seeking. Now, take a second, reflect. What part of your life are you trying too hard in right now? Where are you pouring effort without clarity? Let it rise. Because that question, quiet as it is, might unlock more change than any motivational speech ever could. Let's go back to where we began. You wake up tired. You work harder than anyone you know, but you still feel stuck. You've blamed yourself. You've questioned your worth. You've convinced yourself that maybe you're just not built for this. But here, this now, you were never the problem. Your method was, you've been trapped in a system that worships effort but ignores alignment. Culture that says more is always better, even if it leaves you empty. But the Stoics whisper a quieter truth. Let go. Return to stillness. Act only from alignment, not desperation. That's when life starts to move differently. Not because you're pushing harder, but because you've finally stopped pushing in the wrong direction. You stop shouting into the void and start listening to your own voice. You stop proving yourself to others and start honoring who you already are. And from that space, every move becomes powerful. Every step feels honest. Every moment returns to peace. If something inside you shifted during this video, if you felt even a flicker of relief or recognition, then consider this your invitation. Subscribe. Not as a click, not as a number, but as a quiet declaration to yourself that you're done suffering in silence, that you're ready to stop trying and start living. We make these videos for people like you, the ones who think deeply, feel deeply, and quietly carry the weight of doing everything right, yet still feel wrong. So if you're ready to put that weight down, we're here. Every week. And finally, remember this. You don't need to try harder, you need to stop trying.